what's up, closers? I'm excited because you know what? I'm excited, and I feel like I feel all sorts of special because I don't know if you've ever tried to herd cats, right? But if you've ever tried to herd cool cats like I got on the show today, it's no easy task, right? I've had to do a lot of scheduling back and forth, make sure everybody's on the same page. But I believe that I bought the best talent that I could bring to the marketplace today in the car sales business. I brought 3 different gentlemen that I have the utmost respect for, that I've been watching online, that one of the 3 of the few people that I actually pay attention to the things that they post and have, outside of public conversations and outside of group conversations. So I'm excited that these guys are here and honored that they'd spend some time with us. You closers, me, and then the 3 of them. It's just like it's a super exciting time. So what we're going to do today is we're just going to talk straight sales. These guys are all from the car industry, and I know I do a lot of webinars and live streams and everything for the real estate and mortgage industries, but I wanted to do my part for the car industries because of late, a lot of you guys are chiming in on my posts on my fan page and replying to my emails and stuff, and I freaking love it, right? I love the car business. So I've searched high and low for people that I believe are the best that I could possibly find when it comes to being in the car industry and being trainers that are out there doing this stuff on the front lines every single day. And I wanted to just give a chance to introduce them to you, let you get to know their selling type, their personality, where you can find them, and everything else. And before we get started with all that, it would be weird if I didn't say make sure you take a couple minutes when you get off the live stream here and you sign up for my latest product, Clixo.com, CLYXO.com. Since you're selling cars, you're going to maybe go to different dealerships throughout the course of years. You're going to be on different social media channels and things like that. Clixo.com, CLYXO.com. It's absolutely free. The sponsor of this show and the reason why we're doing this live stream today. If you're in the sales business, using that icon in your email, using that as a way for your clients to always be able to search and find you no matter what dealership or what part of the country or wherever you're at in the future, that's a great tool. So with enough being pitched on my free software, right, with not anything to sell you at this part, I'm just honored to be able to host this hangout with 3 guys that I think are really cool. So I'm just going to introduce them one at a time, and we're just going to have like a free-flowing conversation about sales as we go through this, and just relax. If you got your coffee, if you're a closer trying to wake up in the afternoon, have a couple sips of your coffee, but be ready to take notes and listen to these guys. I wouldn't have brought these guys on here if they weren't the real deal and if they didn't have great advice and they weren't going to bring like some massive value to you today. So since they've taken the time to be here and you've taken the time to be here, just make sure you make the most of it. So let's start all the way up top. And when I say up top, I'm talking about the Canadian closer. This guy's got more comebacks than you can keep up with. He's anything that you say, he can say it over you, turn it around on you, twist you, turn. He has got a way with words, and he will use a lot of them during this interview. I promise you that. So I'm excited to introduce all the way from Canada, my man, Alan Dickie. Alan, what's going on, man?
Not much, not much. Strangely enough, we're staying warmer and drier up here than a lot of my counterparts down in the States. Our winter's been very friendly, but we're having fun.
Awesome, man. It's global warming, right? Thanks a lot, Obama. So, hey, man, I'm excited to have you here. You know, you and I, we've obviously had a lot of conversations together, and we know each other pretty well, on and it seems like even I know you offline, even though we've never met in person, but we've talked so many times on the phone and everything else, and I've watched you really like explode your exposure in front of the car audience in the last, really like 90 to 180 days, and I wanted to bring you on here, man, because I know you have so much value for the car business. So, what is the best advice that you can give someone that's selling cars right now that'll enable them to get to that 25 to 30 car a month position?
You know what? In the name of keeping it simple, KISS, that's how that goes. Go for failure. Have a willingness to go for failure. One of the funny things is everybody who's in sales, I don't care what industry it is, but I definitely see it all the time in the automotive industry, is we have access to amazing information. We know exactly what steps need to be taken. The instructions in there are available. But a lot of people freeze and have this inability to take action, and a lot of it stems from a fear of going for failure. And when you think about ever since we're kids and growing up in our school systems, our society, we've been wired that failure is a bad thing. And one thing I can guarantee is everybody on this panel today and anybody who's ever experienced any type of great success in their lives has had that one common bond, a willingness to go for failure. We all have stories of getting beat up, but the thing is when we go for failure enough times, we tend to create even more stories of our amazing successes, and everybody is capable of doing it, but it starts with a willingness to go for failure, for sure.
Now, when you say go for failure, like explain that a little bit more. Failure in what sense? So take us a little bit deeper down that path. What
All
do
right.
you specifically mean when you say failure?
And that's what I'm saying. Fail, man. Let's park sales for a minute and selling for a minute. Let's go to something that every warm-blooded man is going to be faced with in his life, and that's approaching a woman to go on a date. Courtship. Hopefully to find the right person and get married one day. You're gonna have to go and talk to her. And this is something, when you think about it, we were faced with this as 13-year-olds, right? The dance is coming up. We've got sweaty palms. We want to ask the girl to go, but we're afraid. We're terrified. What if she says no? Things like that. And we need to overcome. And if we all look back at the times where we went through the sweaty palm scenario and overcame and landed the date with Lisa, took Lisa to the dance, maybe even married Lisa, it was worth it. So if I want to really dumb this thing down, if we're talking about selling automobiles and it's like, okay, listen, I need to be generating more leads. So, creating networking groups, for example, is something I teach and instruct people to do. Well, you're going to need to put yourself into the marketplace and start, shaking hands and kissing babies, for lack of a better expression, and putting yourself out there. Are some people going to be like, get out of here, loser, you car guy? Sure, that might happen. But you're going to find like-minded people who will want to get on board with your idea, with your vision, and ultimately when it comes to fruit, it's like the saying goes, they'll laugh at you in the beginning, and when you arrive, they'll be like, I always knew you'd make it. And so that is understanding that and committing to your goal is what's going to provide you with the discipline and the faith to move forward, go for failure in the name of attaining it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I know you work with a lot of car salesmen, whether they're in the automotive industry, brand new, or whether they've already got themselves established and they've already, sorry, I had to mute them out of the background to get rid of the feedback. So, I know that you work with a lot of guys that are new all the way up to guys that are already performing. What do you see as like the biggest struggle to go from like that, the guy that can close 5 to 10 cars a month, to the guy that can step up and close 25 plus cars a month? What do you see as the biggest struggle and how to overcome that and to close that gap? Because that's where everybody wants to go, right?
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is a lot of sales representatives get in their own way. There's a common trend, especially in the car business. You've got individuals, and I focus on them. I'm talking brand new people who have never sold a car in their lives, and I create six-figure earners in their first years out of some of them. But what it is they come out of the gate, and this goes for all salespeople, doing the right things, listening to the right people, and just literally, the management or the leader says jump, they say how high. After a little bit of success, our egos get in the way. They start to take over. We think we know it all. We start skipping.
I think they know it. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And this leads to our demise. So, a lot of sales representatives go through this cycle. 90 days out of the gate, they're flying. They crash and burn in the 90th day in the 4th month, and some never recover from that. So, if we're going to figure out how to become these, top performers, this very simple principle involved. Discipline actions taken on a consistent basis guarantee results. It's finding what works. It's having that 20-car month and really identifying everything you did. I mean the way you brushed your teeth that month, right? And doing it again and doing it again. As a successful marketer, you've heard it before as well. When it comes to marketing, you never change the message. You change the people you tell it to, but you never change the message. And that's the same with your selling process. And far too often, you've got people who are like, oh my God, this thing isn't working today. They go and try something new the next day. That doesn't work. They're on to another new one the day after that. There's no consistency. And where there's no consistency, you're never going to be able to have a true gauge of what's working and what's not. So if you're doing something consistently for 30 days, for a month, and it's not working, change it. When you do stumble onto the ways that are working, memorize them. Take notes, do what you need to do, and repeat, repeat, repeat. One of the easiest things that I did, and I mean, again, less is more, when I got into the industry in my career, I just was like, okay, man, who's the top guy? Oh, it's Bob over there? Cool. And I watched Bob. I would walk like Bob, talk like Bob, and I did that in the infancy of my career because there was a lot of things Bob was doing that were right. And as I identified them, I started to put my Alan Dickie twist on them, if you will. And then just sort of took off from there. But it's discipline, man. Creating a disciplined set of actions on a consistent basis to guarantee your results and doing the right things day in and day out without even thinking, like breathing. Neither you or I thought to take a breath in the last 10 minutes. We're still alive. It's the same idea. You need to do that with your careers.
Now, do you think, like a lot of sales guys, you mentioned that 90-day window, do you think a lot of sales guys, they find out kind of what the numbers are on all the different kinds of cars they've sold over that 90 days, and then when someone is trying to hold gross on them or someone's trying to make a deal, they start to know that, like, bottom price, and they get a little scared that, like, the client's going to know that bottom price too? Do you think that that plays a big portion in why those guys, because they know too much about price, really not the vehicles or anything else, but they're like, oh, well, I know I've sold this similarly before for $4,000 less, and they like nervous to go out there and present it even though the client has or the prospect has no idea?
100%. And you would laugh. When I'm in, some of the work I do, I support big events and sales and what have you that are going on in the industry. And when I'm at these sales, sometimes the general managers or general sales managers who are working deals will start to divulge that information to me and share, well, we're holding this amount of profit. The second I start to hear that verbiage, I tell them stop. Never when I'm working a sale do I want a computer. I don't want any information as to what our costs are on the vehicle. I just want a number. Let me know the number and let me go out and do my job. Every payment I present it in my head as though we're done. That's it. It's the basement, and if I don't close you on it, there's no deal, there's no commission. So, yeah, a lot of the people, it's funny, human nature, right? We all want to be in the know. And I can't say it enough, especially in selling as a whole, and especially in the car business, less is more, man. Focus on the product, sell the features, sell the benefits, and then logically justify why they should take delivery of the unit. The second you want to be Mr. Know-It-All and get into, oh, these are the programs, this is how much gross we're holding, etc., all you do is give it away. Listen, as a self-proclaimed sales expert, okay, I can tell you right now, if you tell me, hey, here's your $20,000 car, we got $3,000 of room in it, I'm dropping my pants a lot quicker than I would if I didn't know that information. Because I'm aware of that, I never want to know it, and I make sure nobody shares it with me.
In my world, the real estate and mortgage world, the real estate agents have no problem negotiating price for whatever, because they're trying to get the most for their clients anyway, and they have no idea the financing and everything else. Like, most of the time, the clients don't give them a clear idea of what they owe and what they don't owe and all that other stuff until they've already made the deal on the thing. They just set a price that they can come up with it. And so that actually allows the real estate agent to negotiate blindly, like you said, without having to worry about, well, they've got this wiggle room or that. The same thing happens across the board. So I find that that's a big struggle too. Knowledge is not always power, right? There's a prime example.
It's the truth. When you think about, I know you've got a couple of small kids, and I love using them as an example, but children operate the best under the principle that intention is greater than method, right? And so they're never studying how something is realistically or logically going to get done. That ice cream truck comes on the block, they hit you up, and it's dad, 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 and maybe their closing is only as good as, nauseating you with requests. Maybe that's it. But the focus of and the decision making involved with, I'm getting an ice cream, delivers the ice cream. And when we approach ourselves, whether you're selling homes or you're selling cars, I mean, I've had my back against the wall in certain, areas during my career where I needed to get a deal, and everything disappeared. It was like my focus intensified once I had made a decision. This thing's going to bed, man. We're closing this deal right now. And then when you become that committed, you don't get hung up on all the reasons why something won't work, or why if the discount's not big enough, they're not going to buy it. It's all nonsense. And again, it comes down to, more times than not, we defeat ourselves. It's not even our customers.
You got to just have that, oh, they're going to buy from me today attitude, right?
That's exactly.
You know what, man, and I find what works better for me is, and I say this a lot to my salespeople. I'm like, hey, man, we're going to help somebody today. We're going to change some lives today. And even something as simple as a car, it changes the way people feel. They feel more confident when they drive off on it. They feel better. They feel cleaner. They feel like safer. And oftentimes, man, that does change people's lives, that little thing. You know what I mean? Just even though it's a car, something we drive every day, but it's something that we're spending hours every day in if we're commuting back and forth in traffic. I mean, my fiance, she just works 3 miles up the street, but it's a 25-minute drive just because of traffic. So she's in that car at least an hour every day if she doesn't run errands or anything.
100%. And even to take it further, forget about, we're talking cars. I could look at a new tie. A new tie makes me feel like $1 million. A new tie. I've got certain ties that when I'm going out to close an important deal, my go-to, there's about 10 of them. They're the go-to ties. If I ever pointed them out to you and you saw me wearing one, run. That's how real those ties make me feel. You get what I mean? So, yeah.
The trigger.
Yeah, And there's guys who feel that way about their homes. You know, they bust their, tails, and when they're pulling into that driveway at the end of the day, they look at the place and they're like, yeah, this is why I do this, So with everything, and cars are no different. I mean, I myself, when I step into my car, I do want to feel like $1 million. My car's immaculate. It's like my office on wheels, and when I'm inside of it, I feel like I'm a performer, ready to do just that, perform.
Absolutely, man. Well, dude, I like your style, obviously, is why I brought you in here. I think you're awesome. I appreciate all the videos that you drop back there in the Sales Talk with Sales Pro group. I love your group that you have on Facebook, too, the Sales Tips and Tactic group, man. And what I'd like for you to do, man, is just take a couple minutes to, tell people a little bit about maybe some products that you have for sale, some ways that you can help them, or maybe a webinar or a web page or a website, or just something so that the people watching this, there's quite a few of them right now. There's 60 people on here basically unannounced, right, with us just putting a few Facebook posts on here, and there'll be thousands to watch the replay. So how can they find you, Alan Dickie?
You know what? There's a number. I've got a ton of products available. I've a lot of great information as well as personal coaching that cater specifically to the automotive industry. And they can hit me up on Facebook. Find me on Facebook. Message me. My fan pages are available there as well. I've got a dynamite product because I hear in the marketplace currently one of the biggest things people are griping about is how do I create business? How do I generate business? And I've got a product out there that you can go to alandickey.com/lead generation. And this program it's a $97 program that'll make you 20 to 40 grand depending on how hard you're willing to work this year. But it shows you exactly how to create and develop business for 2016 for automotive sales representatives in the marketplace. So on top of all kinds of amazing materials I have available, and people can just hit me up on Facebook to hear about them, a specific one that a ton of people are purchasing and investing in because it's so good and making them money is my lead generation product. And again, that's available at alandickey.com/lead generation. You should check that one out and get it in your hands yesterday. It's costing you money not having it.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Man, I like that you're sending them to your blog too, man, that they get their hands on. Because I have a lot of car sales guys, and that's what they hit me up on too. They're like, how can we, my dealership's in the middle of Idaho, and I need more people to come through the front door, and I need to get it in front of more people, and my dealership doesn't advertise and stuff. So there is a huge need for that right now out there in the industry. So, hey, man, I appreciate you hanging out with us, man. And I couldn't tell you guys that are watching this, go to alandickey.com, find him on Facebook. He hangs out in the Sales Talk with Sales Pro group. You can't miss his post back there. Great guy to follow online, tons of content. Alan is a creator. I'm watching him create stuff all the time. That's why I brought him on this program. And thanks for hanging out, Alan.
Hey, I appreciate you having me. It's always a pleasure to hardcore close with the closer.
Good times, man. Good times. All right, Jonathan, we're going to have a little technical difficulties on this one. So Jonathan's got a black screen out here. I don't know, for whatever reason, Google's not letting him do this from his phone or whatever, but it's the words that count, right? So,
yeah.
Jonathan, so cool. The voice is coming in clear. We can hear you. We'll just have to stare at a black screen for a minute here. That's just part of the deal, right? So, with that being said, what we'll actually do is this. I will show my screen here and pull it up, and there you go. Whoops, that's not the screen that I wanted to show. Well, while I'm pulling this up, that's all right. While I'm pulling this up, I'll switch yours back. And so, Jonathan, you're out there in the big city of Atlanta. So we've gone all the way from the north with Alan, and now we're coming down south with you. And
Yeah.
How long have you been in the automotive industry?
This will be my 16th year.
16 years. So it's needless to say that you've got some experience. You've been around for a minute.
Say pretty diversified experience with everything I've done. But I would say experience is one thing, sure.
Well, so I watch your videos. I think that your psychology brand is an ingenious play on words. First of all, what I'm do real quick while I'm rambling here is pull up your psychology page so that we can do that.
There you go.
So that we can look at that while I think I spelled that right. Yes, I did. Awesome. All right, let me pull that up so we can look at that while you talk, so that we have something that we can
Something
stare
other than
at
a black
screen. That's it, man. I'm almost there. Everybody, bear with me. We're almost there.
Look into your deep green eyes.
Yeah, right. So, all right, now we got a good picture of your website here that we'll use. So, same questions for you, man. So, what advice would you give to somebody? Like, let me just say, what's the best advice that you can give to somebody that'll get them from that, 5 to 10 car a month part that they're position that they're maybe at right now to that 25 plus car a month position that everybody really dreams about being at?
Well, there's a few pieces of advice, right? I mean, obviously we all know there's not one thing that you do that makes your world work. It's a whole bunch of series of little things, and most of those little things seem insignificant at the time. It's not one dramatic thing that changes your whole life. It's a series of small decisions that have dramatic consequences over time. So what I would say is that lesson there could probably be a powerful lesson to just understand that, you're not going to become the final product that you end up as simply because you changed one thing. But in changing that one thing, you probably changed a whole bunch of things that allowed you to make that change. And so we are a series of events. We're a series of decisions, a series of consequences stacked on top of each other. And so that's true in good and bad ways, And so just in the same way that a bad decision typically doesn't ruin your whole life, if it's a major bad decision, it's probably because up until that point you had a whole bunch of stupid decisions you made. And so, but I would say, again, if you want to just talk simple, very practical advice, I would say that learning how to become proactive, which is the cornerstone of psychology, how to be proactive is probably it's one of the top game changers in my personal story and in the story of thousands of salespeople that I've coached. The ability to be proactive, let me define that if I may.
That's exactly what I was going to ask.
Yeah,
please define it.
Yeah, see, that's me being proactive, getting ahead of you. Proactivity is defined as the ability to anticipate and address a question or concern before it comes up. And so in practical terms, what that means is that we begin to pay attention to our sales process, to our customers in a more intentional way. We start to ask questions like, what are the most common challenges, questions, concerns, objections that I'm going to encounter in any scenario or any relationship with a client? What are those, and what could I do to anticipate and address them before they came up? One of the simplest examples of that a lot of car guys can relate to is how I train in my greeting. The greeting, if I asked you to write down the top 5, 7, 10 things that a customer says in the first 5 minutes that you don't like, that you wish would go away or change, you'd end up with a list of things like just looking, not buying today, first stop, just getting started, don't need any help, I just want your price, need the trade value. You don't know what you have for payments, I want to see what your interest rates are, you don't have what I want, I'm not buying today anyway. So you'd hear something like that or some combination. And when you greet a customer and the customer hits you with some of these common things, just looking and not buying today and first stop, and I don't have any time, those things are very common. And in life, again, another great principle I know all successful people understand is the idea of patterns. Pattern recognition, pattern anticipation is what makes wealthy people wealthy. It's one of the fundamental principles of wealth, pattern recognition and pattern anticipation. If I am a boxer and I can anticipate the pattern of my opponent's punch, it gives me a unique competitive advantage. If I'm in the stock market and I can anticipate the pattern of the stock market or the pattern of a particular stock, if I can anticipate that accurately, it gives me a unique competitive advantage in the stock market. If I'm a baseball player and I can anticipate the pattern of a pitch, it gives me a unique advantage against that pitcher. And in the same way in sales, life comes at us in patterns. And when we can identify what those patterns are, anticipate those patterns properly, and then utilize that pattern prediction, you can prevent a lot of problems. There's a lot of P's there. Pattern prediction prevents problems. So, but the idea is very simply this. Is begin to think about your day, your activities, your process, your customer engagement. Begin to think about it and look for those patterns. Anytime, and this is true, I've proven this for 15 years. I've never been proven wrong. Maybe somebody on this call will try to prove me wrong. But I've never been proven wrong in this. That anytime that you look into your sales process, you will find patterns, especially those patterns of negative encounters. So like there's a reason or there's a pattern before a customer says I want to think about it, there was a pattern. Before the customer says I want to get a copy of that worksheet, there's a pattern. Before the customer says anything, there's a pattern. If you pay attention, there's a pattern. And then the question needs to be proactivity. How can I get in front of this thing so that I'm not having to react or overcome this thing. And that's probably, by most of my students and dealers I work with, the biggest distinction they say in what I teach. I do not teach how to overcome objections. I teach how to introduce them so you don't have to overcome them. And I just find that that's a way better way to sell. And it's less confrontational, it's less stressful, it's more engaging, and it's rooted in psychology. And Ryan, here's the psychology, and I know you'll understand this because you study the same kind of things I do about marketplace trends and why people react and respond to marketing, advertising, calls to action. The reality is, when we meet someone who thinks like us, if I meet somebody and I immediately sense by the things that they say or do, or even the way they dress, that they think the same way I think. When we meet people like that, we're automatically subconsciously attracted to them. I mean, like, you really can't even stop it. It's a subconscious behavior. I meet somebody who thinks like me, I automatically like them. Why? Because I like myself. And when I see somebody who reminds me of me, I like them too. And so in the sales process, the more I can anticipate my client and think like them and be proactive in talking to them about the things they would care about, the more they subconsciously start feeling like, wow, I like this person. They think like me. And when we think like someone thinks, they like the way we think. And when they like the way we think, they like us too. And we all know, we've been taught forever, make a friend, sell a car. Well, yeah, that sounds great as a cliche or a meme or as a slogan by a sales manager in a sales meeting. But the reality is, how do you do that? How do you make a friend and sell a car? Well, the how part is very simple. You connect with them. You connect with them subconsciously by being proactive. You do that, and it gets really easy to sell.
You know what? I think that John just proved that you can be analytical and a good salesperson at the same time, right? Because that was deep stuff. There's a reason his site's called Sellcology, because that's like he said, he doesn't. It's not an objection overcomer. He's very proactive. But the thing that struck me in all that, man, that I've got notes here, it's like, how does a salesperson become more aware, right? Like, how do they learn to recognize those patterns? That's huge, right? If you can see something before it's coming, it's like sales aikido, right? You just like slide on right through there for them. So, like, what can a salesperson do to increase their awareness to be able to do that?
Yeah, actually, so the easiest part about that, Ryan, is actually something that they're already doing anyway, but they're just not doing it intentionally. So what you do is you ask a simple question. What is it about my sale process, or my customer interaction that I don't enjoy? What is it about working with customers that I don't love? What parts of the sale slow or stop? Where in the sales process does it get sticky or awkward? And then what you do is, all you do is identify those places. I mean, if you think about it, like, when does it get weird with my client? And whenever it gets weird with my client, there's a pattern typically there. And so all you would do is say, okay, when this happens, it typically makes it weird. It gets weird. Like, for example, whether it's in the greeting, I shake people's hands and I get weak handshakes. I ask for people's names and I lose their names. Well, that's weird. That's awkward. That's uncomfortable, and I don't like that. So what you do is ask a question. Wait a second. What could I do before I would get a handshake to make it so I don't get weak handshakes? What would I do before getting a name to make it so I don't lose the name? Or, every time I present numbers to a couple, a lot of times they'll say, like, well, we want to think about it, and we want, well, yeah, but before they said they want to think about it, when you put that worksheet in front of them, before they said that, there was a pattern. They looked at each other for approval. And when one of them didn't immediately give approval, they started to look at each other for, what do you want us to do? And they looked at each other all non-verbally, and they went, let's wait, let's think. And then you get hit with well, we're going to do this. Are you going to be here on Thursday? Because we'd like to, we're going to take some time. And can I get a copy of this? And then you're like, oh, crap, how do I overcome this? Well, what you should have done is, when they first looked at each other and started giving each other the what do you think look, and one of them didn't immediately give their approval, you should have anticipated that I'm about to get hit with I tell you what we need to do is think about it. And prior to getting hit with that, you should introduce the very thing that they are going to do. So you would say, hey, folks, I see you guys are looking at each other, and clearly this is something you guys want to think about. I want you to think about it too, because it's a good decision and a big decision, but I want you guys to think. So I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you guys the space and time you need to think. And I'm going to go ahead and excuse myself and give you guys a moment to think. And then what you do is you get up, you walk away. Now, I do something, again, proactive, because what I used to do is I'd give people space, but then I never knew when to come back. like it was awkward, like you're hovering like a vulture. You don't know when to come back to the table. So what I realized was that was awkward. That didn't work for me. I needed a pattern. Well, what did I do? I took a chair and I'd lean it up against the table. I'd take my chair and lean it on the table, or take a stapler, or take anything, and I would mark it as a physical marker of their decision. So I'd lean the chair against the table and I'd say, guys, when you want me to come back, just put the chair back on all fours and I'll come sit in it. Or when you want me to come back, move the stapler from this side of the desk to that side of the desk. Or when you come back, stand this bottle of water upright again. And I would turn the bottle of water on its side and say, as long as it's on its side, I know you're still thinking. When you want me to come back, you move the stapler, stand the bottle of water, put the chair down, and I'll come back. And what I found was that in that pattern, by being proactive, I completely disarmed the customer, and I created an opportunity. And I usually just walk back and say, you know, guys, I'm an optimist. I appreciate your business. Stick out my hand and get a handshake. So, but that's it. So where, you know, you say, well, how can they become more aware? They can become more aware by just taking those times when they feel weird, or when they feel awkward, or when they don't think it's going well, and just make a note of it. You go, I hate when this happens. Okay, so this is one of the triggers for what Jonathan teaches. I should be proactive. Okay, what could I say or do proactively to prevent this from happening?
The biggest thing I took away from that is proactively looking for the weird and awkward parts, because you are exactly right. I've never even thought of it that way. That's absolutely brilliant. Looking for those awkward parts, because I'm smart enough as a salesperson to know that when there's awkward parts or anxiety or something's not meshing up, people don't make decisions based on non-confidence. They make decisions when they're confident.
Absolutely.
And so if it's awkward and weird, then that means that somebody's not confident about one side or the other, which puts them in a weird position. So just being aware of that in itself, man, is huge. That's something that you can tell that through the phone. You can tell awkward and weird.
Absolutely.
Facebook chat. You can tell. It doesn't have to be face-to-face either. You know what I mean? So, dude, that is huge, man. I'm going to take that away and store it in my back pocket too, man. I really appreciate that.
Yep.
So how can we got Psychology here that I showed on the screen. I'll pull it back up again. And I'm playing DJ here, DJ Ryan Stewman. Where else? Tell us a little bit about this site. Where else they can find you? Where do you prefer to communicate with people? Like, how do you roll, my man?
Well, so listen, it's pretty simple. So Psychology is you know, it's on the screen for those watching this. If you're listening to the audio, it's spelled SELLCHOLOGY. So it's half psychology and half selling. So selling through psychology. But there you can access my blog. You can get, you know, find out about my company, my online university, and all that. But here's the thing, seriously, straight up. Yeah, you can hit me on Facebook. You can find me. I mean, you put Psychology into Google, you're going to find me everywhere. And so find me on Facebook and all that. Definitely do that too. But I think really the truth is, if you're interested in some psychology for your dealership or as an individual salesperson, I have both. I have products and services to support the dealer level. I have products and services to support the individual salesperson, including personal salesperson development, coaching program. I give you access to my online university. I give you personal coaching. Give you a bunch of resources, including a personally built website, some other stuff like that. But here's really what I would want to do. If you're interested in connecting with me, I want you to text me, and I'm going to do something a little special for anybody who reaches out during the Hardcore Closer program here. If you reach out through this broadcast that you're watching, even live or replay, I want you to text me your name and text me Hardcore. And if you put your name and Hardcore in a text and send that to 612-387-7776, that's my mobile number. So just hit me a straight text. It goes right to my cell phone. 612-387-7776. I'm one of the few, I guess, trainers out there that's on a mission to save the world one salesperson at a time. You know, I'm just trying to help people. And so if you're interested in getting some help from me, text me your name and Hardcore. I'll know you watch this broadcast. And let's find out how I can help take your business to another level.
Dude, that is hardcore. Dude just straight up gave his phone number out and was like, text me, yo. That is hardcore, man. I dig that. So, you know what, though? That's the thing. Like, those of us that have that abundant mindset, and we're like, hey, man, we really want to help this sales community. Your why is different than mine. You know what I mean? It's the reason why you help the sales community and you do what you do. Mine's because I'm a broken-ass salesperson, and I know that there's a lot of other broken sales guys out there, and yours is you know, to me, you're like so dialed in with the analytical stuff that there's a lot of sales guys out there that, you know, that need that information, that are dialed in with that. So it's so cool to just see how bold it is for you to just be like, hey, man, send me a text. Let's talk for real. This is my thing. This is what I do. And and I like it, live it, and die by it, man. So that's awesome, dude. I appreciate that, man.
Well,
Thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, hey, thanks so much, Ryan, for having me. For again, we're all trying to speak a similar message, but to different audiences, and I'm just trying to save the world one salesperson at a time. And if I can play a role in that, I'm happy to do that. You got Sid coming up next. I know he's going to provide some massive value, and I love listening to Alan tell his story and put his spin on his ACE attitude, conviction, and energy. And I am an abundance thinker, so I'm going to let you guys get back to it and lay out some more abundant life strategies. Go get them.
That's awesome, man, dude. That awareness thing, that totally, hey, now I'm aware. Look out, y'all, I'm aware. So, all right, but you know what? Last but not least, and matter of fact, just up the street in Georgia, like of all the people in all the places across the country that I could have picked, two of them just happened to be down there in A-Town, which is pretty cool. You know what I mean? I think that just shows that the car game is strong down here in the South, right? We got two Americans from the same state, a Canadian, and then me still down here in the dirty South too. But Sid, you know what, man? I'm a fan. Obviously, I watch you online. We've met live at events. We partied together. We talked on the phone quite a few times. We met originally through RIMAC, and I know you just got back from the marketers cruise, man. Probably had a great time on that as well. But tell the audience a little bit about you. I know that you've got some partnership and ownership and some dealerships, and I mean, you are the car guy, right?
Yeah, no, man, I just got back from the marketers cruise. I'm actually at my mom's because I made a promise a long time ago I'd never go to Florida without hugging my mom's neck. So I have to stop one day and see my mom before I go home. But I've been in the car business since October 27th, 1994. I sold my first car to a gentleman. I was in a little bit before that, but I wasn't doing numbers. I was called a greeter for 2 years before that. But I consider the first day of the car business was the first day that I inked up a deal and actually got a commission. And it was awesome. I knew something happened. Something magical happened that day other than cutting my tie.
They cut my tie first day on the job too.
Huh?
They cut my tie first day on the job too, man. I forgot all about that.
Yeah. Well, for me, I left the warehouse job making $175 a week. They gave me a $300 draw, and I thought, I just got a raise.
Well, you were in. Yeah, you were in. You were in.
$181 my first commission, and I thought they're gonna have to drag me out of here. I'm gonna be like a cat. There's no way they're gonna get me out of this place. Finally, somebody's gonna pay me.
That's right, man. I'm gonna earn my worth around here. So, man, you and I, we talked on the phone the other day, and the thing that intrigued me is you got something that a lot of salespeople don't get, and you're about to say something that I'm going to walk you down the path to say. I'm going to lead you into this one, my man. But we were talking about the B-back bus being a thing these days, right? They may not come back in a bus, but they'll come back and trade a car, and I think that that's something that not a lot of people are talking about in the car industry, and you're right, because of social media and the things that we have. So give us your take on how all that works as far as getting people back to the dealership once they bolt.
I'm going to give you that, Ryan, and yeah, we did talk about it, and it's strong as death. It's like Melinor's hammer, and I want to tell you, but first, if I could I know everybody else got to say, if you had a message to a new salesman, what would you say? And I've got something I just wanted to tell if I had to tell a new salesman. Is that okay?
Absolutely, man. I jumped ahead there. I got all excited because I knew.
And I'm gonna let everybody know about that. But for me, I sat around and watched people say, write down your goals. And shoot for the moon, and if you miss the moon, at least you'll hit the stars, or vice versa. And really, I felt like everybody kind of taught our generation, to kind of like shoot for something that we never even believed we could have, and everybody kind of came up short. So I don't have goals. I have obligations. I don't look at them as goals. I don't see them as goals. I don't even use the word goals. I hate the word goals. Right? Because my entire life I've been taught that it's okay not to hit my goals. It's okay to come up short. So I got rid of the goals, man. When I write down what I write on my notepad every day to finish, those are my obligations. That's my duty. That's what I obtain and get across every day. Every single one of you know what it takes to make it happen. Write down what your obligations are and quit selling yourself out and calling them goals. And you'll hit way past whatever they're telling you to miss the moon and hit, right?
Wow,
so,
what a neurolinguistically way to program your thinking too, right? From the set of goals, something that you've been programmed inside your psychology to, like you said, it's okay if you miss your goal. At least you set a goal so big, and changing that, just that one word to obligations, that means like so much more. When you think obligations, you think your kids, you think your family, you think your car payment, you think your mortgage payment, you think all that stuff, dude. That is a powerful word, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've sat in, countless events where people are like, write down your perfect day and think of your goals. And I'm just like, dude, do me a favor. And it goes over like a brick. I'm like, take that piece of paper that guy just told you to write down, wad it up, throw it in the trash. Let me shut the door and tell you the truth. Quit calling it goals.
Dude, that's powerful.
The next thing is this.
Let's define obligations real quick, though. So obligations, when they set that should be like if you're 25 cars, you're obligated to hit that 25 cars, right? If you know you can hit it, you've got the power and you've got the deal, you're obligated, right? Like, how do you set your obligations?
What's the number one salesman? I'm obligated in my mind to sell more than that. I mean, there's just no other ifs and buts about it. If Bob down at the end of the hall can sell 25 cars out of his cube, I mean, can I? Why would I sell any less? I mean, what? Because his pants are slicker, his tie's better. What? No. I'm selling 26 plus cars. I'm beating everybody in the dealership. Period. That's my obligation. That's the type of effort that I bring to the table when I'm looking to provide for my family.
Damn, and that word obligation being strong like that changes it too. There you have it. Though, what's the top guy do? I'm obligated to do at least one or two more than him. Easy enough.
Yeah, there's no excuse. There's no excuse. There is nothing that he knows that I can't figure out and do better. Period.
I dig
That's
it.
the real of it. Think of it this way. Here's the difference. This is the why people don't do that. Because they don't have certainty. See, I've coached thousands of people too. And I've coached people in businesses. I've coached million-dollar players. I've coached people that got more money than God. And I've coached people that didn't even have a business account set up. Here's the truth. Take a Coke can. Shake it up. Okay? Shake that Coke can up for a good 30 seconds, Ryan. And then I want you to tell me what's going to happen to that Coke can when you open it. What's going to happen?
Fizz. It's going to go everywhere. It's going to explode.
Can you guarantee it?
Yes.
Can you guarantee it's going to explode?
Yes.
Is there a chance that it won't?
No.
When we get off this hangout, start shaking up your life and your business.
It's true.
You got to have that guarantee. You know what I mean? Why is everybody sitting down, letting business pass them by, making excuses why Bob can sell more cars? Why Tommy? Oh, it's because he's got an ad in the whatever paper. Oh, it's because he gets the Craigslist post, the Costco leads. Oh, it's because this guy's an internet marketer. This guy does this. This guy does that. Pass, man. Stand up and yell at the top of your lungs who you are and what you do. Be proud. Let people know when it comes down to buying a car, I'm your guy. When it comes down, if you need leads, unless you want the Snickle Fritz, you call me. That's what it is. That's what I do.
The Snickle Fritz, man. Nobody wants that when the Pineapple Express is around. So,
no, dude. At least they want the good leads.
So I see that all this time that you've been in the business, man, you've got good with using powerful words to encourage yourself, right? Like I can just tell by the way, shaking, obligations and things like that. Like, so, tell me a little bit, like how did you come up with those? Like what one day, like what changed the game for you that you started thinking with these powerful words that made you shake up your life?
Well, mainly because, I started out in the car business. I started at a pretty tough dealership, and I was a used car manager by 23. I was a GSM by 25. I was a finance director at 27. I was a general manager at 29. And at 32, I got my first opportunity to buy a Chevy store. And I was a general manager at a Kia store at the time that it happened. And I thought to myself, I walked around back, and I looked around. And I thought, what have I done? I thought I owned the world, man. I thought I was doing the career path to where I wanted to be. And I realized right then, for me, this is who I am. For me, I realized, man, I'm tired of making other people's dreams come true. I'm tired of somebody else beating me to death to try and pay me $8,000 or $10,000, $12,000, $15,000, a month because they didn't want to pay me. And I realized at that point, that's when I'm going to sell to these guys that have those budgets.
Yeah, absolutely,
so,
man.
It that hard, man. I wasn't going to be able to coach baseball teams. I wasn't going to be able to, I see your kids, man. You got some cute ones, man. I know you've got ideas in your head right now, Ryan Stewman. You've got plans for them boys.
Yeah,
Are you going to let
absolutely.
me or anybody stand in your way?
No, I don't know.
Right. So how can you not be powerful in conviction and be powerful in your statements? How could you not? It's your duty. It's your obligation.
Yeah, very much so, man. Very much so. So, obviously, I believe that you don't just sell cars these days. You have ownership and dealerships. You generate leads online and all sorts of cool stuff like that, right? So, tell us a little bit about that. Like, so what is the car business these days?
Yeah. Yep. All right. So let me ask something. If every car salesman in the dealership called their customers, and every single customer since the beginning of the dealership, do you think they would sell more cars?
Absolutely.
Invite them back into the dealership, right?
Right. Just
What
get
if
them in.
managers?
If they show up, they'll buy.
What if the desk managers? What if all the desk managers and the GSMs? They're probably good salespeople to be up there as a manager, right? Now, if all your managers called every single one of the past clients, do you think they could get them in to buy a car?
There'd be a few show up.
Let me ask you something. If the owner of the dealership or the general manager, if he called every single customer and personally invited them to come back to the dealership, you think they'd buy a car?
A few of them would.
You think he has the time to do that?
Nope. Nor does he want to in all reality.
What if he did? What if he did have the time to do it?
If he did have the time, he probably still wouldn't. But
you don't think so?
Maybe. I figured those old guys get to the top of the chain, so they don't have to make phone calls anymore.
I'll tell you the easiest way to sell a car dealer on anything, man. You're the talent. You need to be on the TV spot. You never seen a car dealer do a TV spot before, have you?
Oh man, that's a good point, man.
They all want to be the talent. We're all egotistical maniacs.
That's a good point.
The only way, you know why we didn't win that football game? Because you didn't throw me the ball enough times. Yes, I want to be on that TV spot, and hell yes, I want to call every single one of them customers and let them know, thank you for buying a car and come back in. That's a fact. Well, I have a way to do it. I have a way in 60 seconds to send out 2,000 messages to put, and it's not a phone call. It's a switch, and it actually switches that message into their voicemail with never ringing the phone, which allows you to not only, as everybody knows, B2C has been banned. You're not allowed to go to customers. You can only go business to business. But because this is not a phone call, I'm allowed to go B2C. I can show you a way to maintain your customers properly, send them a voice message, unless you want to call every one of them individually every day or every month, which they all don't. But I have a way to show you to actually call every single one of those customers, leave a message, invite them back in, find out if they have an issue before the CSI has actually been created, find out if they have something that they need, find out if they have a brother that's needing help to buy a car and wants great service like you just provided them, find out if they've already decided who they're going to go get their first oil change with, everything. I've got a way to switch that over. It takes 60 seconds to record the message. Everything else is done for you. I have a team set up that'll handle everything every part of it for you, and absolutely blow your phone out of the water. Now, if you want the snickle fritz, stick with the snickle fritz. If you want the good leads, I got them.
Man, that's really cool, Sid. So, I know that 86, according to AT&T, 86% of all phone calls go unanswered. So you're saving so much time. 86% of those phone calls were going to go to people's voicemail anyway. So just go and then beating the B2C thing because it's a switch and not a phone call. That's pretty amazing too. But I mean, being able, like you said, not just for the sales side, but being able to call and thank them for the oil change and the service and all that other stuff, man. And just making those calls once and going out. So how do they get in touch with you to get their hands on that?
Yeah, you can go to just go to a link, Sid Michael, SYD, michael.com/auto. And I did something special for you, Ryan, because I don't know, I take you serious, man. I think your stuff's tight. Obviously, I love working with you and talking with you. I put up, I ended up throwing into that. You go with my executive voice drop. I threw in my 697 auto course for free. I threw in, yeah.
What'd you say? What'd you say the Forward slash what?
Yeah, sidmichael.com/auto.
Auto, sorry. That's a voice.
That's right.
UTO. Show this on the screen. Can you see that there?
There you go.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, so go here, sidmichael.com/auto. And then what'd you say they can get right here? They can get your voice drops?
Yeah, you can get my voice drops, and if you go with the Extreme or better, I actually threw in a $697 course. I sold over 4,000 copies of it. It's basically exactly how to sell digital IM type products to car dealers, and it's free. So it's over 11 modules, 29 bonus modules. It's a great thing to bring the heat. Last but not least, Sid's fan page, SYDS fan page, take you straight to my Facebook, sidsfanpage.com. Connect with me there. Reach out to me. I give out my phone number too, mainly because it's easier to chat it out and figure out what the world's about than it is to sit there and text back and forth. So I don't have one-way conversations with people. I have two-way conversations also. Look, there's a bad boy right there himself, second in line.
He knows what pages are similar, who would like it, right? So,
Yep.
So hey man, it sounds like you need to get in on my Clixo thing though while we're here, because you're like, you got all these different URLs. You need to get in
dude,
on
I was the
Clixo
first one on
action.
it. I reposted and shared it. I think it's brilliant, Ryan. I didn't want to tell you that, but you know, I think it's one of the coolest things out there.
Awesome, man.
And if you're in sales, who would not get in on that? Why would you want to give out all those links, man?
Dude, it's a pain in the ass, man. We just got to retrain the sales force into thinking this, man. It's so much easier.
Now, be honest with me, man. Did you think of that?
Yeah, man, I came up with it all on my own. Like, it was just
I
me.
liked you, man. I knew I liked you. I think it's brilliant.
So I appreciate that, dude. Hey, so good stuff, man. Thanks for coming on and sharing with us today, dude. I'll make sure I put your website links up there when I send this out as well. And
Sure.
good shit, man. So tell your mother I said hello. You know what I mean? Like,
hey, thank you so much for having time, man. I
hey
appreciate
man, that's everybody. That's how you know that Sid's a good dude, right? Like while he was in Florida, he got off this cruise. He's probably, been partying for 7 days. I know the kind of people that he went with, right? Like he's probably been partying for 7 days, and he still stops by and tells his mother that he loves her and spends some time. But while he's there, you know what? He's shaking things up, man, and he's still doing some work too. Mama, I gotta handle business first. Oh, here we go. Hang on, put that up again.
Only at Mama's, right?
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Man, I appreciate you so much, man. If you ever need anything, you just ask, and I'm there.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. That's why I asked you to get on here, dude. Now I owe you one. So.
All right. Awesome, man. Thank you, buddy.
Yes, sir. All right, everybody. That leaves me up to finish up here. And what I want to do is give you guys in the sales world some advice too. I sold cars for about 6 months in 2011, which was one of the worst years to sell cars, like in the history of the car business. The mortgage meltdown had happened a couple of years before, and then the car companies where everybody was getting bailouts except for Ford. Nobody could provide credit for people, and it was just a rough time to sell cars. And I still managed to sell anywhere from between 20 and 30 cars every single month. I was top producer while I was there, and I had a mission while I was there. I worked 70 hours, and just like Sid said, it was something that once my boy was born, my oldest, I decided that I needed to switch into the internet marketing world. Sid and I were fortunate enough, and so at this point, Val and Jonathan to be able to get introduced to that world and be able to give back to the community that we know is out there busting their hump 70 hours a week. So what I want to do is I want to share with you the strategies that I personally use, the strategies that are in my sales program that I'll talk about at the end, and the things that you should do right now that will help you as a salesperson, the best advice that I can give you. And honestly, the best advice has already been given out, right? And all we're doing is telling you more ways to just get off your butt and go talk to more people, right? Whether you're talking through social media, whether you're talking to people through text or voicemail or voice drops or getting through direct mail or whatever, or shaking hands through the front door, the key is just to talk to more people, because my old GSM used to say the more hands shake, the more sales you make, and that's the truth. So I want to talk about this. Everybody has a reason that they buy a car. Nobody shows up at the car dealership because they want to think about it. What happens is there isn't certainty, just like someone else here in the Hangout, everybody pretty much mentioned. And when there's not certainty, there's not confidence. And if they don't have confidence, they're not going to make a decision, right? People make so many bad decisions in their lives. So many times they get screwed over. They find out the neighbor bought a cheaper car. They find out the neighbor got a better deal, or the neighbor laughs at them because they overpaid, and all these other things. Anytime that they think any of those circumstances might happen and they might get sold, they don't make a decision, right? It's not that they don't love the car. It's not that they don't need a car. It's not that they don't want a car. It's that they're not 100% confident that they're not getting screwed over, and that's what leads them to the indecisiveness in my personal experience, right? And so what you've got to do as a salesperson is create certainty in the eyes of the buyer, that the certainty that they are getting the deal that they want, that they're not getting ripped off, no matter how much gross you are or aren't holding. If you're selling at sticker price or around sticker price, you're not ripping anybody off. We used to sell Raptors at the Ford dealership where people gladly paid $15,000 over sticker price. So all of that is relatively speaking depending on what you're selling here. So what I'd like for you to do, and the best advice that I can give you, is to write down 20 reasons that people buy cars. The 20 reasons that you run into all the time that people buy cars. They need new tires. Don't want to put new tires on their car. Something's wrong with it in the service. The clutch is going out. They've got too many miles on it. They need to trade before they get to 50,000, 60,000, 75,000, 100. The warranty's out. They don't feel safe. They need to go from a two-door to a four-door because of their family. They need to go from a four-door to a two-door because their kids are moving away, or they want a sports car to look cool, or they want a car with a driver so that they can be driven around. You know, like, name those 20 reasons. I could go on forever, right, that people want to buy cars, right? Because nobody shows up at a car lot just to hang out. You know, when you show up at a car lot, you might meet a salesperson and you might drive home in something different than you drove in there. Everybody in America knows that. The car industry, the automotive industry, you know, outsiders still call you guys car salesmen, right? They say, y'all are car salesmen. And they're one of the few industries left, if you think about it, where the term salesman is still used with the title. And we try in the car industry to say, oh, we're automotive consultants and all this other stuff, but people know us as car salesmen. But you don't think of, like, real estate agents. They have realtors and real estate agents. I didn't say real estate salesperson, right? Even though technically that's what they are. When we say mortgage brokers or loan officers, we don't say mortgage salesperson, even though technically that's what they are. We say stockbroker. We don't say stock salesperson. So people know when they come to a car dealership that if they meet a salesperson, they might buy something, right? So they're willing to take that chance when they show up, right? Tire kicker, analytical, strong will, whatever. They know that there is a possibility that they could end up driving home in something that they're not. And what you've got to do is, like, just like Jonathan said, when it comes to being aware and identifying patterns, what you've got to do is you've got to identify the 20 reasons somebody would show up, and then, like he said, use his proactive terminology right there to be proactive on knowing what it is. Start asking the questions to uncover which one of those reasons it is that led them there today. I always ask people, as soon as they came through the door, introduce myself. Hey, I'm Ryan Stewman. I'm an automotive consultant here. Welcome to Park City Sport. What made you decide to come in today? That would be the first thing that I would spit out of my mouth. First of all, anything that they reply to that with, they made a decision, and they've implied that our dealership and myself are involved in that decision, right? That's a huge neuro-linguistically programmed sentence. I think that's one of the most powerful sentences in inbound sales is, what made you decide to reach out? What made you decide to come in? When people hit me up on the internet, when people hit me up on the phones, it's like, awesome, what made you decide to call in? Using that word decide is just like Sid said, using that word obligation. It's a strong word that once they give you a reply, you're bringing in their admission that they made a decision, which we just talked about several times throughout this. Is a hard thing to get a person to do, and that is decision involved you and the dealership. The next thing that you need to do, the next best advice, or it's still part of component of this best advice that I'm giving you guys, is write down the top 20 objections that they give you on a regular basis. And it's funny to hear how Jonathan said this, and even Alan, I think, pointed it out in the beginning too, about how identifying patterns is the same old thing, and then obviously going all in as if you're not gonna lose that sale, right? But if you identify those patterns, in my case, it's write down the top 20 objections, right? So what objections do you get? Like, I'm gonna look on the computer, I'm gonna think about it for a couple of days, need to talk to my wife, need to talk to my business partner, need to get my credit score right, I'm gonna check with my bank, I'm not sure I'm going to go get on the dealership. I'm going to TrueCar.com, right? Like there's all these other objections that you can get to, and you can easily make 20 of them. Write those 20 objections down and then leave space in between them, and underneath those 20 objections, write your rebuttals. Right? Just like you've gotten 4 or 5 different rebuttals to those objections already throughout the course of this training, this free training webinar so far. So I would highly recommend that you, like I said, write down the top 20 reasons people are there to buy from you, and write down the top 20 reasons they try to stall when it comes through the buying process. Memorize that shit as if it's flashcards. Read it every day before you go in and hit the sales floor. If you lose a sale, go back there, pick it up, and read it again. I write blog posts every day on sales. You know how I do that? I have this in front of me. It helps me. It's headlines. It's everything I need to know. It's sitting right here on my desk at all times. You should have that same thing for your objections and the reasons why they're there. And you should have those memorized, like the tattoos on your arm, if you got them. Most of us salespeople do, right? You should have them memorized. You should know them inside and out, and you should be looking for them, just like Jonathan said with that pattern. You should be that whole new level of awareness to where you can uncover which one of those objections and which one of those reasons leads them there, and which one of those objections do you need to overcome in order to make the deal. So here's the thing. The top 20 reasons to buy. So another thing is, you know, when I ask somebody what made you decide to reach out, right? What made you decide to come in? What made you decide to call us up today, right? When I'm going through that with somebody, what I'm trying to do is get a snippet of what they're looking for. You know, about 1 out of every 10 people will actually tell you the truth. Will say, my car broke down, or I got in an accident, or my car is 4 or 5 years old, or, my mother-in-law passed away and I need to sell her car, or we're looking to get a car for my teenage kid. Like, one of those things happened, right? And what I'm trying to do is, I know, especially me, I sold cars in the nice part of town. I know that if I can get in front of people with a video, they'll feel like I took the time and I went out of my way to get in front of them. And I also know, especially dealing with older people, if you get in front of people on video like we are right now, we're automatically some sort of authority, because ever since my boys were born, they've been sat in front of the TV and told to pay attention. Ever since you were probably born, you've been sat in front of the TV and told to pay attention. So when we send new media, which is YouTube videos, out to our clients, and we say, hey, it's Ryan, Stewman, Park Cities Ford. I'm super excited that you're thinking about buying a new Mustang. I just wanted to send you this video to introduce myself and tell you that you're welcome to come to the dealership at any time. But if you'd like to schedule an appointment to where you and I can go and show the lot together, no test drive with no hassle or no pressure. You can even take it to lunch if you like. Just simply hit the link below this, schedule a time for us to meet, and I'll make sure I'm at the front door with my arms wide open, waiting right for you, and that the key's ready for you. Right? I'm just going to send them a quick video. It takes me 30 seconds to upload it. I can send it through Snapchat. I can send it through Facebook messages. I can send it on a YouTube link, through an email. I can send it to their text message. It's super easy to send that out, and most people won't take that extra step. Most salespeople won't even get on video, right? But when you're willing to step out of your comfort zone and then they see that video, they're like, wow, this person did something that nobody else did, right? If you happen to be a handsome devil like myself, right, they're like, oh, wow, okay, well, see, he looks like a clean-cut gentleman, hide the tattoos, right? Back when I sold cars, for the record, I did not have tattoos, but they made us wear long-sleeve shirts anyway. So, there was no polos at the place where I worked at. So they're able to say, well, he's a clean-cut guy, talks really well, doesn't have any earrings or piercings or tattoos on his forehead, so we'll go up there and see that guy. You start that process. They become familiar with you. And here's the cool part about that too, is when they come into the dealership and they see you, they wait for you. Hey Ryan, hey Ryan, we're just so excited to meet you, right? And the other dude, he can't steal your deal and get a half deal, right? Like, I used to hate that, right? Like, when you were busy with one client, the other clients, they come in and they'd say, oh, I'm Ryan, and they'd just like steal your deal or whatever and then tell you about it on the back end. Meanwhile, this way, they know you in person. They can't steal the deal from you. And oftentimes, if you just tell them, hey, I'm almost done with these people and wrapping up in 10 minutes, they'll wait on you because they want to go through the whole entire experience with you, because you were the dude that was on video in front of them in the first place. So that's my stuff, right? But here's what I want to end this whole thing with. That's my best advice for new guys, or people that are trying to get to that 5 to 10. Past the 5 to 10 break and get up into the 25 to 30 break, right? Know your objections, know your reasons, uncover your pain, and use video. Now, here's the last thing. In the car business, it's not necessarily your job as the salesperson to generate your own leads. Alan's got a great program to teach you how to generate leads. So do some of these other guys. Sid's got one with the voice drops for the GM and the owner of the company. It's an awesome way to generate leads. my thing is the car business is an inbound lead place, right? People are calling in the service department. People are calling in and asking questions. They're calling in off TV. Like Sid said, the talent's always on TV. They're calling in from the commercials. They're calling in from the direct mailers, the social media, and everything else, right? The voice drops and all that. They're coming into the dealership because they know you're the only Ford, Chevy, or Kia dealership within 20 miles of where they live. They're making the trips up there. Like, they're there for a reason. That is an inbound lead, right? And so what I've got is the ultimate inbound lead selling system. I'll give you a quick look. You can actually click the link that's actually right below this video that you're watching. I'll pull it up here. And you can see the sales page there. Listen, in my business, it was $250 for a Mini. So, right, you sell one car, and here, I'll pull it up right here. You sell one car, and the worst case scenario, even if the dealership lost money, they give you $250 for a Mini, right? This right here has everything to do with, like what Sid said, making outbound calls. I said that, you know, that maybe the owner wouldn't do that, right? And so I know you probably hate making outbound calls as well. So you got to make the most of the ones that come in, right? So here you go. You can read a whole bunch of cool stuff, but here's the bottom line. You can grab my whole system right now for $197, right? You can go to the link right below this video. You can grab my ultimate inbound lead closing system. And look, if I help you sell one more car, and your Minis are the same as mine, $250, then you've got a profit. What if I help you sell one more car every single month, right? What if I help you sell one more car a day? I've done it. I was a 30-car a month guy, right? But you can grab that. The first 10 people, and I'll see you come across my phone here when we get off the stream, the first 10 people that grab the $197 Ultimate Inbound Lead Selling System at Ultimate Inbound Lead, or at inboundleadcloser.com. See, where's ClickSo when we need it? I'll send you a free copy. Where's that? Of my book, Kick-Ass, Take Names, Email Addresses, and Phone Numbers. I'll even autograph it. I'll put it in the mail. I got envelopes. I'm talking about like right here from the house, the whole 9 yards, right? Put it in an envelope with some stickers on it, some fancy writing. So the whole 9 yards. First 10 people, you get a book as well. Just click the link below here if you want that. We're going to do the replays of this. I'll be mailing it out to the list tonight, maybe worst case, it'll go out first thing in the morning. That way, if you guys are wondering the links to click, you can go to sidmichael.com/auto. You can go to alanddickey.com, and then you can go to sellcology.com. And actually, you can just text Jonathan at 612-387-7776. He said text him hardcore. So thanks for hanging out with us today. There's about 150 people show up pretty much without any marketing or any of that stuff, so that's really awesome. Thanks again for hanging out. It's time for you car guys to go make some sales, right? Take what you learn, turn it into action, and go make some money. Later.